Hello and welcome to Healthcare on the Rocks, Employee Benefits with a Twist. I'm Jennifer Jones, Population Health Practice Leader at Springbuk.
And I'm Mike Pattengale, Senior Account Executive for Channel Sales. In this podcast, we talk with employers, benefits advisors, technology innovators, and other experts in wellness, human resources, and healthcare. Today, our guest is the first name on the shingle for one of the largest independent health insurance brokers in the Midwest.
Scott McGohan is the CEO of McGohan Brabender, which has offices in Dayton, Columbus, Cincinnati, and Indianapolis. He works on vision casting, strategy alignment, and leadership deployment. He's been with MB since 1988, and his professional philosophy is that, as a business leader, for him, it's always been about the people. Always has been, always will be. Scott believes you cannot threaten, coerce, or reward people to care. You can only awaken the desire inside of them and give them the permission and encouragement to do so. Products are delivered by people, and when people believe in themselves, they will believe in you. Scott, thank you so much for joining the show today, where it's a pleasure to have you on here. Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, Scott, our podcast name is Healthcare on the Rocks, Employee Benefits with a Twist. What's the biggest twist you've seen in employee benefits during your career?
Oh, my gosh. Big question. You know, I think it's interesting. So we innovate. And then I think when I started, we had the evolution of HMOs, capitations, clinics, right? And guess where we are right now? Beginning to look at narrow networks, HMOs, clinics, right? And it's just, you know, I would hope that this industry would evolve much faster than it has. But it's 17% of our economy. It is a gigantic, epic battleship. And to turn this thing is hard work.
Do you think with where we're situated today, obviously we've seen all these trends come back around. Do you think we're at a tipping point where change can actually occur?
You know, I think so. I think the one thing, too, that we all have to realize is that employers are the real payers of health care. So they pay for their own health care. They also have payroll. Those folks on payroll pay taxes. And the last time I checked, those three, the employers and employees pay taxes, which pays for Medicare and Medicaid. And we get to pay the most. So I think we've woken up to the fact that we should have greater control. We should have a louder voice. We should be entered into the conversation. And I think we've earned the right to have that. And I think we're actually building a bigger voice and making faster decisions. So, you know, I'm probably a Pollyanna. Maybe I'm a unicorn, but I'm an internal optimist. I do think that together we can make some massive change. And I think we're on the brink of it.
So you obviously bring a tremendous amount of experience to your clients and to MB, but we're curious what made you enter into this healthcare insurance profession?
Well, I mean, I actually sold loose diamonds in New York City before I came to McGohan Brabender.
Diamonds.
That might be another podcast episode in and of itself.
Yeah.
To people like you used to be really curious about talking about that. And then I bring up insurance and they're like, put a fork in it. Let's talk about something else. But, you know, that was a lot of traveling and I was really young. And, you know, to be honest with you, I wanted to be around when I got married and had kids, that I wanted to be maybe a soccer coach and I wanted to be a dad that was home. And I knew that probably wasn't going to work for me. So I started here in 1988 and never looked back. And I've loved it ever since. And just going back to, at the end of the day, every culture is about people. And I don't care what you do, whether it's insurance or whether you're an attorney or whether you're selling tires. It's about the people and caring about your people, which will ultimately you'll end up caring about your customers.
Yeah. No, I love that. And actually something I was curious about just in my role in the relationship I have with the different folks at McGohan Brabender, I've had the privilege of seeing a bit into the unique culture that you all have built there. Can you share just a little bit more about it? Something that really sticks out to me is the toy closet that you all have, and then the little wagon that I think it's like your closed one wagon. So would love if you could share a little bit more about that for our listeners.
I feel like that's not a little wagon.
Oh, yeah, it is a big wagon. Sorry.
It's a big wagon.
More of a Zamboni for those that haven't seen it.
It's called the Victory Cart. So every office has one. It's got a tractor seat on top of it, and we push people through the building to celebrate really amazing things. So whether they passed a test or maybe there's an anniversary, just something to celebrate in the office. And then probably our family wall. So you've got 200 people in 4 different offices and a picture of every family member, on the wall. And a lot of those ideas we borrowed from other organizations. I think the Victory Cart's ours. I think we came up with that ourselves. And the toy closet was something where little kids would come in, and my dad would always go to his desk trying to give them something, whether it be a paperweight or a paper clip or whatever. And one day he just decided, I'm just going to go to the store and buy some toys. And that's what happened. And now we have a full-blown toy closet in every single office.
Yeah, no, I loved seeing that. Another piece that has really just been awesome to watch as I've followed you over the duration of our partnership is your Thankful Thursday posts on different social media platforms. I'm curious, how did that come about? And maybe what's the greatest takeaway that you've, taken from that?
I think as leaders, our number one job is to encourage people. And my dad had a saying, he told me, it took me a long time to figure this out. He said, everybody needs encouragement, and the people that deserve it the least need it the most. So as leaders, it's really easy to recognize the person number one in sales, the people climbing the ladder, because everybody comes to work and wants to do their best. Unfortunately, we bring divorce to work. We bring marriages to work. We bring kids that didn't make the select soccer team to work. We bring sick parents to work. And everyone's doing their best, and sometimes your best just isn't that great. And so when you love people in the bottom, they will normally rise to the top. The Thankful Thursday, I was walking through the office, and we had this, she's an awesome person. She had this sign on her desk, on her chair that said, I'm not feeling well today. I'm sorry. I'm not as perky as I normally am. And I was like, what a beautiful way to tell someone that you're just not feeling good. And it was on a Thursday. And for some reason, I just did this video, and it was like less than a minute. Threw it on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, and it just took off. And so I think I've done it every Thursday for 3 years now, and just finding random people and just talking about something, and it's goofy. People run for me on Thursdays. Nobody wants to be on it, but I enjoy it. It's fun.
Yeah, that might be the only day I decline a call from you, just in fear of. No, I was kidding.
Perfect. Good thing today's not Thursday.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to shift gears a little bit here. Speaking more to MB, knowing that you are a data-driven shop, we know you have an incredible team that supports you from an analytic perspective. We know Kelly is amazing at everything she does to support your team. So can you talk a little bit as far as how you all are really using data to better serve your clients and the innovation and new offerings, or how that gets all packaged together to serve your clients?
Yeah, I think we're like a lot of firms, too, where historically we had a huge reporting engine and a big reporting department. But for the most part, what we saw is that was mostly retrospective. So what happened? How much did it cost? Where did they go? And then after that's passed, what are you going to do about it? And I think what we really saw in data is, hey, instead of looking through the mirror, how do we look through the windshield and look forward and take people on a journey in regards to, hey, how do we mitigate this risk? What does that risk look like? What can we be forecasting our population? And, and data tells us that. Data tells us a lot of information. And, and it's just going to get bigger and faster. We're going to have to be more astute to it, more attuned to it.
And how do your clients knowing that there's so much data that's out there. And again, there's so much we can do with that now. How do you approach that subject with them, knowing that it can be extremely overwhelming as an employer that, is trying to manage 5 other different priorities?
Yeah, I think for the most part, a lot of, obviously COVID, they've got a lot of things on their plate. You know what they want is they just want to know somebody else is watching it and cares about it as much as maybe they should. And then when we're able to show them the risk models and the risk scores, the compliance rates in regards to where the workforce is, where care is being delivered, where we should be focusing on, we can give them recommendations. And then ultimately they get to choose, how deep they want to lean into it. But before, they would just wait on this green bar paper, from a carrier that said, this is what happened. And they were tired of it. So, tell me more. I love the fact that, when you torture data, it tells a story. And I think that's what data, it compels us to think differently about where we were and where we should be going.
I like it.
Yeah, that's great. So thinking back just on the podcast that you all host there at McGohan Brabender, Side Effects with an A, personally, my favorite episode is The Best Career You've Never Considered. In that episode, you talk a lot about increasing awareness for opportunities within the healthcare industry. For our listeners out there, maybe friends or family members of ours that might either be in the job market or maybe folks looking to start their career, what's maybe one piece of advice you'd give them or one thing you'd share as to why they should consider this industry as their career?
Well, it's 17% of our economy. It's never going away. So it is big. It's bigger than any economy we have in the United States. And it needs young people that care. And so this generation that we're looking at today is purpose-driven. So our purpose is less disease, less cost. And also, even for this generation, unfortunately, this industry is so slow. It's paper driven. It's insurance. It's unfortunately, it's run by a bunch of old people that drive old Oldsmobiles. So it needs that young breath, fresh, innovative. Hey, let's go places. Let's go jump. And the industry's looking for that. And I think organizations are looking for that too. So it's not going away. It's going to get more strategic and bigger and faster. And we need young people in this industry.
Yeah. And I know you are a big reader and advocate of reading. And I believe for employees first coming into McGohan Brabender, you always recommend a specific book, maybe on the healthcare industry in general, or it might just be leadership. Can you share what that book is, or one that you would suggest that, if someone's interested in this industry or learning more, what would be a good place to start?
Gosh, we give everyone this beautiful little book called Johnny the Bagger, and it's just a book about a little boy who decided to make a difference in people's lives in a grocery store, and to write a personal note and drop it in the bag of every single, customer that came into a grocery store. And it changed the landscape of a grocery store overnight. And so what we tell our workforce is, hey, if Johnny can figure that out and just caring, then anybody can figure that out. And so it all starts with a passion to make a difference. And this industry needs a lot of people from the neck up. I got a book today, and it is called Deadly Spin. The insurance company insider speaks out on how corporate PR is killing healthcare and deceiving Americans. It is a great book. It's a truth teller in regards to, we have insurance companies, health systems, doctors, PBMs, all of the shenanigans inside of that. All we need is knowledge and information, unbiased knowledge and information, and we can make a difference.
Yeah, my next question was going to be, what are you currently reading? But I guess you answered that one for us. So, but But that reminds me of American Sickness by Rosenthal, which I think is a tremendous read for anyone entering the healthcare space, or even outside, just to know, as you mentioned, all the different players, how things originally were set up and designed, what healthcare and insurance was for, and then obviously where we are today and how everything has landed. It's a good read too. So, all right.
I'm writing a white paper right now called the acronym I'm not a big fan of, but it's true. So it's the system's FAT. And the F is for we have this just fragmented economic motives. So they're fragmented, whether it be government, public, health systems, doctors. The second, and this is where Springbuk really steps in. So we have an absence of equitable public health. So in regards to where that by region, by market. And then the last one is really transformation that's misaligned. It's like Star Wars out there, all this innovation coming towards us, but it's misaligned and normally not centric back to the customer. And really, there's a saying that I use all the time, ignorance is not the absence of information. It's the perception you have it. We have so many people that think they understand this industry, but you have to look at the entire picture. Well, just like data. I mean, if I just looked at one report, it doesn't tell me the entire story. When I look at all of it, it tells a compelling story back.
That's a great comparison there. I think a lot of people will understand it when you put it in those terms for sure. All right, we've got one last question for you. This one is probably the most challenging of all. If you had one free day to do anything you wanted, what would you do?
Well, I'm a grandfather, so I'm going to show my age. I'm 56. I've been married to my best friend for 34 years. Her name's Lori. I've got daughter-in-law, Courtney and Jack, and my son, Taylor and Megan, and 2 grandkids, Jackson, who's 5, and Ellison, that's 2. By far, as I'm older, I wish I could go back in time and maybe be the father that I could have been, and we all make mistakes. But as a grandfather, I have more patience. I can lean into the lives in a different way. I observe things that they're doing. And so any day I can spend with them is probably the best day of the week by far.
Wow, that's probably going to be the best answer we ever get for that. So, yep, that's it. This is the last podcast episode you'll ever hear. Well said.
Mike, I'm curious, what would you do?
Well, I was too busy just trying to fight back tears over here. I didn't really put too much thought into it. My wife and I do not have any children yet at this point. So, but we have a dog, but now that I'm remote, I spend every day with him always. So would probably try to, I think, Scott, I shared before, my former profession was being a professional musician. I was a drummer. I would probably go back on tour for a day, maybe just play another show in front of like friends, family, and kind of just be free on that stage. I think that would be a really fun thing to do. What about you, Jen?
Very cool. It would definitely be, there would be no work involved per se. It would be a day off with the kids. I find baking and cooking is like my way of calming myself down at the end, not calming myself down, but like a relaxation kind of at the end of the day. So I would spend the day making a huge meal probably for dinner. So I really enjoy that. And yeah, I enjoy serving people on that method too. So I'd say that's how I would use it. Very good.
Well, maybe you can make us dinner. Fair?
Yeah.
Deal.
Yeah. I will tell you, I made what I thought was a fantastic lemon zucchini bread last week. Someone had, it's in season now, so someone from their yard had given me a zucchini that they grew, which was huge, but made 2 wonderful loaves of that. It was delicious.
That's funny. I didn't get any of that zucchini bread delivered at my door.
So,
okay, got it.
it's in the mail.
That's fair. Okay, got it.
Well, Well, Scott, thanks so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure having you on. Good to catch up, and thank you for your unique answers. I think everyone can pull something from that, especially as you spoke about culture and just your experience within healthcare. Again, we really can't thank you enough for having you on today.
Well, thanks for having me, too. I appreciate both of you a lot.
You bet.
Likewise.
And that's it for this episode of Healthcare on the Rocks, Employee Benefits with a Twist.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate us or leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. That helps other people find the show and lets us know what you like.
And you can find more information about our guests and links to resources we discussed on today's program on our website at springbuk.com/podcast.
Cheers.